Your match with Chyna, I remember watching this as a fan, and from the outside looking in, I went, that's a great match. And then I learned about everything that was going on behind the scenes. And I've always wondered, how did Vince know that you were going to go to the ring and actually put Chyna over in that match?
Restate your question, because I want to.
How did Vince know that, you know, your contract was up and you had this match, you had the Intercontinental Championship at the time, and you had this match with Chyna and you were going to put her over? How did Vince know that you were going to actually go to the ring and put her over?
Well, for one, he had already paid me, and I cannot wait to dig into this in my world. It's going to be a hell of an episode. All the ins and outs and the build up into that. But it's like any promoter. He had to have a little faith in me, first and foremost. And at the end of the day, he's been around a lot longer than I have. So what if it didn't go down? You've always got tomorrow's Raw to rewrite it. So it sometimes, as an industry, we get so caught up. How does he know? How do we know he's going to do it? Well, I'm banking on the odds and the probabilities that he is. I just paid him his money. He's out of my headset. And to tell you the truth, we weren't the main event, A. B, and here's something that we're going to dive into on my world. The following day is when he took his company public. So you can talk about WrestleManias 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10, 12, now 37, 38. But you can talk about WrestleManias. You can talk about SummerSlams. You can talk about his Fox $1 billion deal and USA Network and all. You can talk about all that. It doesn't hold a candle to the day he went public. That as a businessman, he built a third generation business, and he got it to the point in 1999, and he had spent the prior, 16 weeks flying around the world, talking to investment bankers to say, I'm taking this company public, a professional wrestling organization. Chris, and that's what I don't think as a businessman. Look, I respect Vince for so many different things. He took, you can call it the wrestling or whatever, but literally in North America, prior to cable television, there were 22 regional promotions. He took his company and WCW, with all that story that went along with it, and Ted Turner and Billionaire Ted and all that, he took his company and went public. That, you can roll all the WrestleManias in one. Nothing compares to that day. And it was the day after this.
There's a clip on YouTube where you're speaking with Karen about being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and you're talking about like who you're excited to see backstage, and you start talking about Vince and you get super choked up, so much that you have to go off camera to like wipe your tears away. Why does Vince mean so much to you?
You're going to get me, look, I'll never sit in his shoes. I mean, I'm not giving the comparison, but I'm saying his father was a promoter and, had the ins and outs, and his mom and all that, his grandfather. So growing up in this business, being a part of it, the fiber and all of that, and knowing everything on his plate. I mean, you take it all in. Fox, NBCU, running this, running that. Somebody said this on the internet. Oh my gosh, the warehouse lease is coming up. I mean, you name it. He runs a $1 billion organization. And he didn't have to make the decision to put me in the Hall of Fame. It's that simple. Very humbled by that. I mean, yes, it's a TV show. That's what we are as entertainment, and just all the decisions, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all that. But and again, some people don't know that video that you're reflecting on was like at 6:10, 6:20 in the morning. The crew showed up and they hit me with that. And I wasn't prepared for it. Not that if I would have, I wasn't prepared for you asking me for it. But, I've got so much respect for Vince that I was incredibly humbled. And, the crew showing up and pulling in and them coming in and we're shooting at. It was, and everything that I'd been through leading up to that point, it was an incredibly humbling moment.
Did you ever think you'd be able to bury the hatchet with Vince?
See, and that is something that when I told Conrad this, I said, look, when we're going to get into it in one of the first couple of episodes, look, Vince didn't have to pay me the night of the Chyna match. He's the promoter. He's the boss. I didn't, Jeff held Vince up. Really? What, with a 38 or a 45? I mean, come on. I mean, that's so preposterous. But he gave me the check. I went, did my, I try to give my effort as much as humanly is in me each evening. And I did it that night as well. And the storyline that had been built was marvelous. But getting that opportunity, Vince, we hugged that night when I left. So bury the hatchet in my mind. I never thought that. When my wife got sick, Vince called. In the early days, I had conversation with Vince about TNA. We're businessmen. So the Jeff Vince story. Sorry, Chris, there was nothing really there as far as burying the hatchet. But with that being said, it's a business. So why bring the guy who has been on the other side of the fence for 20 years? Why do it?
Yeah,
he did.
It's fascinating to know, Jeff.